For all your TCG needs, make sure to check out sabatcg.com. What's poppin', everybody? This is Saber94 bringing you guys a new tier list video for the Emerald Battle Frontier. I've already ranked all of the different Pokemon from Gen 3, so we can't be doing that anymore. But I thought I could rank all the held items, the best ones you can use for your quest to gain all the gold symbols in the Emerald Frontier. Now, this is not gonna be as long as a video as those, and I couldn't find a tier maker to do this for specifically Gen 3, so you guys are gonna see we have a bunch of Gen 4 items here, and it's not even gonna be all of the items, but I got Cerebi right here if we need to double check, and I think most of the important stuff I would need to talk about is here. But we're going to ignore the Gen 4 items, of course. And this is going to be a 4-tier list only. It's not even going to have S tier because, to be honest, even the best items like Leftovers, for example, which is the best overall item, it's not really going to be that much ahead than other items. So it doesn't really make sense for something like that to be S tier. And then, you know, I don't really know how to articulate it, but just A through D should be sufficient enough. Okay, so we're going to start with the first item here, which is the Bright Powder. And I guess the tiers is going to be D, worst ones don't even bother. C is just a very, very average. B is good stuff, and then A is the best. So simple tier system. Okay, so we're going to start with the Bright Powder. And yes, just to confirm, this little icon here is the Bright Powder. And this item lowers the accuracy of your opponent's Pokemon by, I think, 10%, and then the Laxin Sense is worse by just 5%. So this is it can be a very hit or miss item in the sense that if your opponent gets a miss, then it's obviously great. Just they completely missed an attack, that's huge. But because it's based on chance and it's only 10%, then, you know, a lot of times you're just going to be having it on and you're not going to be getting any effect. This would be really good if you could combine it with let's say Sandveil or Snowcloak. Somehow, let's say your first Pokemon is, I don't know, Tyranitar, and then your second Pokemon would be, we don't really got any good Sandveil Pokemon in Gen 3. It's Sandslash and Cacturn. But let's say you had Garchomp and you were going to do Substitute or something. It'd be good in that sense when you can combo it with additional evasion. I mean, in OU Gen 4, eventually they banned stuff like that, which I think is wrong because it's not through an attack. And those Pokemon, they only have one ability, so, you know, things like Ductrio that would be completely banned. Anyway, I'm going to put it into C, and then maybe we can bump it up to B as I go along. But is this a type of item that is likely going to screw you over more than you're going to affect your opponent? Because again, it only takes one thing for you to go wrong in the Frontier, for you to lose your streak. Just one miss, trying to hit an opponent's Pokemon where they got this on. You think, oh, it's just going to connect 100% accuracy, and then you miss, and then they kill you, or it makes that big of a difference. So when you're trying to get a lot of streaks and a lot of wins, and your opponent, this resolves in your opponent's Pokemon, it's huge. But when you have it on, you know, a lot of times it's not, your opponent might miss, a lot of the times they won't, so it doesn't, it's once again, it's an item that's going to screw you over more when you're trying to get so many streaks and your opponent has it on than you being effective when you have it, getting an immediate effect. But it's better than other random crap, so maybe it's a C+, maybe I'll put it to B eventually, we'll see how things go. Okay, then I've got the Chesto Berry. This is pretty much something that's inferior than Lumberry. I guess I'll put this into D. Maybe there's some situations where you want to do the rest, and if they paralyze you, you don't want the Lumberry to trigger. You want 100% for Sleep to trigger. So I'll put this into D, but this is a very situational thing. The rest Lumberry shit isn't even the best. You might as well just do Leftovers Protect. But I'll put this into D. Then we got the Choice Band. So the Choice Band I will put into B, and just to confirm, this is the animation for the Choice Band, right? Where are you, Choice Band? Yes, indeed, that's it. That's the Choice Band. So the Choice Band locks you into the first move you use in the battle, but you get a buff of 50% on the attack. So that's it's a significant boost for a significant sacrifice. This can be an item that's going to screw you over, but if you also sort of ride your luck and, you know, it doesn't matter what your opponent throws out, the choice band and the attack you're locked in, it's going to work, then it's very powerful. So I can't really put it into anything lower than C, but lower than B, but it has its risks. I have used it, but sometimes I think to myself, you know, I might as well just use something that just buffs the stab, and then I know I got the freedom of attacks. I don't got to worry about any bad luck. I'll lock that attack, because you got to remember, if you do this, let's say you got one Pokemon left, you kill your opponent's second Pokemon, and then the last Pokemon they threw out is immune or resisted to your attack, it could be enough for you to lose. I mean, if it's immune, you're definitely going to lose. And a lot of the times, you're going to have to take that gamble. You might just have to, okay, I got an Earthquake with this choice band, and then you're locked into that attack. Now, depending on your team, I guess if it's your first Pokemon holding the choice band and then you get locked out, you could switch, you could do stuff like that. And, you know, once again, there's a lot of risk to it, but you're going to have to build your team around this item, I want to say. And I don't like that, but it's one of the better items. We don't got too many good items in Gen 3 that are going to be hold items. So that's that. This is the choice spec, and that's not available in Gen 3. And then over here, these are the plates, but they basically do the same thing as the other stab items. Like this is the fighting belt. This is, where is it? The Mystic Water. Mystic Water. They don't got all of the items here. There's a lot more items in Gen 4 and even Gen 3. But all of these items here, like, yeah, the black glasses, the black belt, Dragon Fang, the charcoal. Where is the charcoal? Right here. These are the stab items, the silk scarf, even never melt ice. These items, I'm going to put them all into the B category. And that's because they give you a nice, decent buff, and you still got a freedom to attack. Many Pokemon you're going to use in the Frontier, we don't got too many moves, so sometimes, like, for example, if you're using a fire Pokemon, you're going to have your Flamethrower as your general stab, and then you're going to have the Overheat too, you know, for the last resort. Get that big boost, get that big extra damage. Or if you're going to use Zapdos for an electric Pokemon with Rain Dance Kingdra, you know, Rain Dance team, you're going to have your Thunderbolt, you're going to have your Thunder more than likely, so you get that buff too. So those Pokemon, maybe you use an Ice Pokemon, you do the Icy Wind combo, slow Pokemon, and then you do that, and then you use Ice Beam, and then you ensure like a 2-hit KO perhaps. There are going to be Pokemon where you might even have two of the same type of stab move, or even if you just have one, like let's say Starmie, I like having something like a Mystic Water on. If I know that, okay, Surf is going to be, if I'm going to be using a neutral stab, it's usually going to be Surf. I want to get that buff, I want to boost that damage, I don't want any drawbacks. It's pretty good. There's no choice spec, there's no Life Orb, no Wise Glasses, Muscle Band. All of these items are missing from Gen 3. So if you want to boost your damage and not get any drawbacks, I think these items are the way to go. Soft Sand, is it here? I mean, all of them that belong in the 10%, you know, boost your stab category. I think they're a solid B. Magnet, I enjoy using them. I think they're good depending on the Pokemon. An offensive, fast Pokemon that is all about attacking, you put something like that on. I mean, if you're not going to have a high HP and you're going to use leftovers, you might as well run an item like this, I want to say. Okay. Next up, we got the Focus. This is the Focus Sash, actually. It's not the Focus Band, am I right? Oh, no, it is the Focus Band. Let me just make sure. Yeah, the Sash is different. What am I talking about? So this is the Focus Band. So I'm going to put this into... Ah, man. I don't know. Do I put this in a D or C? I'll put this in a D or in C, but again, I don't know what the percentage is, but it must be a low percentage, like 5%. Yeah, may prevent fading, it says here in Serie B. I don't know what the percentage is, maybe 5%, 10%. Once again, when your opponent resolves this by luck, it could be the difference between you winning or losing. If this happens to you, yeah, it might save your ass in a crazy situation. And yeah, then it's sort of like bright powder in a way. I don't know if bright powder has a better chance of resolving, but again, it's just like you don't have a consistent effect. You're leaning into luck, and I don't want that. So I'll put this into C, not the worst thing in the world, but definitely not the best choice either. Okay, then we're gonna ignore a bunch of items, and then we got the King's Rock here. I'm also gonna put this into C, and you know what? Let me just find the scope lens too, and I'll put you into C as well. So the problem with these items, scope lens is even worse than King's Rock, but King's Rock has another problem. So King's Rock, when you attack, you have a higher chance to flinch. So all of your moves that don't even have a flinch effect, they're gonna gain a small chance for a flinch effect. I think it's 5% or 10%. It's not really good. The way you're gonna make the most out of this item is you need to use a fast Pokemon like Aerodactyl, and you need to use attacks that already have a flinch effect. So let's say you do Bite. You already have a flinch chance, and then you boost it even further. Now the problem is, once again, you're relying on luck. You're relying on your Pokemon. You're gonna have to be faster for the flinch to matter. So it limits the Pokemon you can put this on. And the worst part that ruins this item is most of the flinch attacks, we don't got too many in Gen 3, and most of them are bad. Like, I don't even remember. The ones that come to mind are Bite, Stomp. You know, Stomp is a normal move. It's not so good. It doesn't have coverage. Bite, it's dark, but it's a weak attack, 60 base. So instead of just trying to make your opponent flinch to just attack again, you might as well just favor more damage, and it's not even a guarantee. That's why I think these items, they're not too good. I guess if you want to have that chance for that random effect on a fast Pokemon as opposed to boosting your damage, that's on you, but I wouldn't recommend it. Scope Lens could have been better because you do have a lot of good moves that have decent base damage, and they also have a critical hit ratio effect that's boosted. But you know what the problem is with Scope Lens? The problem is the way critical hits work. It's kind of tough to articulate it, but basically, every time a number of moves are used by both you and your opponent, like every 8 moves or 6 moves, I think, some kind of calculation like that, either one of you or your opponent, you're gonna get a critical hit. Okay, so when you use moves like Leaf Blade or Cross Chop that have a higher critical hit ratio, it's like instead of counting as one move, they're counting as 2 moves. So this is why a lot of the times, let's say you have a Sceptile, you do Leaf Blade twice, you don't get a critical hit, and then your opponent, they use a move and then they get a critical hit. A lot of times you're gonna lose out on the critical hit effect, and then you're helping your opponent get a critical hit. Critical hits are one of the worst things in the Battle Frontier for you to just lose your streak, because you can't control it really, and then when it happens, again, when it happens to you, it might not even matter. A lot of the times you're gonna kill a Pokemon in one shot anyway. You don't need the critical hit, and then you get it. But then when your opponent gets it at the worst time possible, it's gonna be the difference between you winning or losing your streak. You could just lose a streak right then and there. I've had things like, I have memories, I remember, I'm never gonna forget this, where a Starmie got 2 critical hits on me in a row and I lost. I've had other examples that don't come to mind right now, but this one is one that I'm never gonna forget. Critical hits are really bad. And you don't, ideally, if you had the option to just turn them off from both you and your opponent, you'd want to do that, because you want to have a controlled environment in the Frontier. and critical hits go against that. So if you're going to try and use a Pokemon, let's say like Sabotal, and then try and do Leaf Blade all the time, and then try and put Scope Lens on, it's risky. And then it's not even like, if it was something like, let's say in Gen 4, we have the Super Luck Pokemon, Absol and Honchkrow. They have Super Luck. I don't remember if there are any other Pokemon in Gen 4, but if you could buff your critical hit chance with an ability with Super Luck and the Scope Lens and an attack like Night Slash, then yeah, maybe you could do gimmick stuff like that. But once again, you're going to need to be a fast Pokemon, otherwise it could backfire. Neither Absol or Honchkrow are fast in that sense. And Super Luck doesn't exist in Gen 3. And then for something like Sabotal, once again, you know, Leaf Blade, yeah, you could do this, but why not just put the Miracle Seed or just put something else in Sabotal altogether? Like, that's the way I see it. Put something like a Lumbreon so you avoid status like Paralysis that would ruin its speed. So I'm going to keep them in C. I would actually think, I would say if you're going to use any one of these three or any one of these two, you might as well just use Bright Powder or the Focus Sash rather than these two. But who am I to say this? Maybe people use them with success, but I think they're very risky. King's Rock is better than Scope Lens, but you're going to need to find the right flinching moves and the right Pokemon. Scope Lens, you got better moves, but do you really got that many? I mean, I'm thinking of Cross Chop here, Leaf Blade. What else? Air Cutter, that's not good. How many good moves do we have in Gen 3 that have increased critical hit ratio? I can't think of too many. And King's Rock, the problem is we don't got too many good flinching moves. They got weak base power. So anyway, I think I'm just going to move on. Then we got Leftovers. This is the easy A item. Because Leftovers is the best general item in Gen 3, it almost like it forces you to always have at least one high HP / tank Pokemon in your team, so you could get the most out of Leftovers. So the higher the HP your Pokemon has, it's based on a percentage. So the more HP your Pokemon has, the more HP you're going to recover with Leftovers, which means you basically get more healing every turn. So this is why Leftovers is a good item to have in the Swampert with 401 HP, so you get that max value. Tyranitar, okay, Slacking is probably a no. You want a choice band if you're going to use that. But what else? What other large HP Pokemon? I mean, Blissey, Miltank. I don't know, what else? You're going to do something like maybe Machamp or Hariyama. It really depends. Milotic. You guys know there's a lot of Pokemon with high HP. The slow evolution, Slowbro, Slowking. Whatever you're going to use that has decent to high HP, you're going to buff the HP, you would want to have Leftovers on. And if they don't got something like Recover, you can do the Protect Leftovers combo. And it's going to put in some work. It's pretty nice. So Leftovers is the only possibly true A item here. And you could build a team with all fast Pokemon, all offensive Pokemon that don't have high HP, and you use the Leftovers, but it's just such a good item that in Gen 3, I think you gotta have at least one tank Pokemon in your team to make use of Leftovers. In Gen 4, there's Focus Sash, there's Life Orb, there's a bunch of other items. I've made fully offensive teams, and this is how I got my 100 streak in the Battle Tower in Gen 4. I used Azelf, Latias, and Raikou. A shiny Raikou with the rash nature, and it knows Aura Sphere and Extreme Speed. And put Life Orb on that thing. You put Wise Glasses on Latias, and then Focus Sash on Elite Azelf. That's a different story, but you could do something like that, and it worked for me. But in Gen 3, we don't got these other good items, so you want to have your Leftovers. So you're going to want to have a tank Pokemon. Okay. Then we got the Lychee Berry right here. So the Lychee Berry, I'm actually going to put in This is the type of thing that you need some setup. But if you do this, you know, with substitute, they can be pretty good. I don't know if I want to do C or B. Gonna have to do endure. I'm not quite sure. So it's the lychee berry. I believe this is the pitaya berry. And then the salak berry. Where are you? These are the only ones that matter. The other ones that boost the defense and special defense, like the ganlon berry and the... I forgot the other damn berry. Whatever it's supposed to be. When you're in low HP, you don't give a fuck about a boosted defense. But these ones, they're gonna help you basically go aggro and get kills. A lot of Pokemon in the Frontier, they're gonna kill you when you don't see this combo coming. They'll do Endure or something. One of these berries is gonna activate, and then they're gonna do Reversal on you and destroy you. We don't got stuff like too many Pokemon that could use Extreme Speed, but that could be something else. And if this was like a newer gen. So I'm not really sure. If you're going to use these items, you're going to need some sort of a substitute / endure effect to make use of them. You could do this with Blaziken. You could do this with, substitute Raikou or even Jolteon. I don't know. There's stuff you could do. Salak Berry would be something on like slow Pokemon, not on Jolteon or Raikou, but you guys get what I mean. It's for the Endure, Flail, Reversal combos. And yeah, if you got the substitute, you got a way to know you're going to get into the red / low orange. I'd keep them in C. I like more simple and efficient items, automatic efficiency, no risks. So I'll keep them in C, but maybe in the right hands. Who knows? Okay, where are we? Lancet Berry. This does the critical hit ratio thing, but again, yeah, I'm not even gonna bother. I guess I'll put you into D. So where are we right now? We don't got Life Orb. We don't got. This is. I think this is Light Clay. Anyway, Lumberry. So Lumberry, I'm gonna give it a nice little B. So the Lumberry is probably your #1 item you want to have in any Pokemon. You're going to use some kind of a stat boosting move like Dragon Dance or Swords Dance, or if you're going to do something like Rain Dance on Kingdra, I always want to have my Lumberry on. In the past I had Mystic Water too, but I found that Lumberry is just the safer bet. You might as well have that on. So this is going to save you against a random status, like a random paralysis through body slam or random freeze. That's the worst one. When your opponent wastes a sleep move and they don't miss on you, it could be devastating. And yeah, it's just something nice. I mean, you really can't go wrong. It's not always gonna activate. Random confusion. There's a lot of random stuff that could be such a bitch. Random confuse rays, and then luck isn't with you. So when you got this Lumberry on, it's almost like your opponent wasted their turn when they did like Confuse Ray or something. Now, if they don't do that, you don't really get anything out of this item, but that's why you want to put this on to, like I said, something that doesn't care too much about an item, like Kingdra. What it cares about is doing the Rain Dance and start spam and surf. If you got some sort of Pokemon that you're going to do Dragon Dance on, I can't think of too many options. It'd be stuff like Salamence and stuff, which are risky as it is. But if you're going to do something like that, I don't know, Tyranitar, then yeah, something like Lumberry is what you want to have on. If you were to do Swords Dance, it doesn't matter. I mean, you want to have this. It's something that's going to give you an immediate good answer at least. You know, when your opponent uses the status and this activates, it's extremely good. At least you know you're getting a good effect, as opposed to these other items. Guaranteed. Okay, now where are we right now? We get a bunch of these shitty berries. Now I think this is the, what kind of wing is it? Let me just check. Or feather. It's the mental herb. Prevents attraction. So I'm going to put this into D. This is a very situational item. It's always going to work, unlike a bright powder and the focus band, but it's very situational. There's a bunch of Pokemon that they're gonna do this, but the gender needs to match for one. And if they use a track, like a Blissey using a track or something. So the gender needs to match, plus it's so situational, so I'd put this in D. It is a hold item. It's better than having like some random shit on, of course, so, but it's very situational. Okay, and then we got the, I think this is the other herb. What's it called? I forgot the name. I want to check the name. I know what it does, but I want to know the name. White herb, and no, it's not here. So is it? Wait a minute. This is that was the blue herb then. No, wait. The white herb. It's when your opponent, when you get stat decreases. Wait, so what's the red one? I don't remember. Am I missing something? Anyway, it might be like a Gen 4 item that I'm forgetting. Okay, the Quick Claw. So the Quick Claw, I'm actually going to put this into B. So if you're going to use, you already know you got a slow Pokemon or like a tank Pokemon with high HP and you got leftovers on, but then you want to have a second Pokemon like that and you don't want to use like something like Mystic Water or a stat boosting item, and then you're thinking, okay, what else is kind of decent? Quick Claw might be an option because it has a good chance. I think it's a 50% chance to resolve every time, right? It doesn't say, but I think it's 50%. It's actually a high chance, unlike these ones. So then you turn slow Pokemon like Rhydon, Hariyama, just somebody else. You turn them into fast Pokemon with high attack, and all of a sudden they can be threats. So I wouldn't blame you if you want to have this on, as opposed to something that boosts your damage. So Quick Claw is a better option than these other luck-based items. Okay, because the odds are better. I mean, you're gonna get this off, and a lot of the times you're gonna get it off in a way where your opponent, even if they were gonna get the double attack on you because you went first, and the next turn you're not gonna go first, and then they get the double attack. A lot of times it's not gonna be a factor if they're gonna be killed or something. So Quick Claw can be kind of nice. I've never used it because I always got a Pokemon that's gonna have a Lumbreon leftovers and then some kind of a stab boosting item, or even maybe Choice Band on that rare occasion. But this, it could be something. It's based on luck though, even though the chance is high, so that's why I've never been the biggest fan of it, but could be something. I mean, I don't think it's as bad as the C items. I would feel it's unfair to put this into C. So we're keeping it into B. Okay, and what else is left? I think it's just the Shell Bell. I think everything else is just, oh no, the White Herb too. So the Shell Bell, I'll put this into C. So this is like the shittier leftovers in the sense that in order for you to get the healing, you need to attack. And you need to do a lot of damage too for the healing to matter. You need to do significantly high damage for this to heal more than leftovers most of the time on a high HP Pokemon. And it has a lot of downsides. If it was just, let's say you need to attack and then you get as much as leftovers, it wouldn't actually be too bad. It would be pretty solid. But because you need to do so much damage, you borderline need to one-hit KO a Pokemon for you to get a lot of healing back. And that kind of sucks. If you're paralyzed, if you're asleep, if somehow you can't attack, you get no value out of it, which is, again, why leftovers is superior. And yeah, I mean, if you really need that extra healing, you want to get healing from leftovers, and you can't use a second leftovers in the Frontier, so you're going to have to use Shell Bell. I'd say you might as well go for different options. Like maybe even the Quick Claw might be better if you're using a Pokemon that attacks. If it's support, but I mean, again, if it's support, then it means you're not going to do a lot of damage. So this would be bad anyway. So I think the Quick Claw is better. I'd put this in the C. It's probably better than, I don't know, like a Scope Lens and a King's Rock still, but putting it to B, I think it's wrong. I would always rather have a stab boosting item like Magnet, Mystic Water, Lumberry, rather than this. Okay. And then we got the White Herb. So this is a bit tricky because it's a one-off item, but I guess what it means is you can use Overheat twice. That's about it. I mean, we don't got Draco Meteor. I mean, if your opponent would do something dumbass like Screech or, I don't know, Cotton Spore, you probably don't really care. So it's not like you're going to get much help out of that. This is only good, or only something, on a fire Pokemon that was going to use Overheat. I can't really think of any other move that works like Overheat in Gen 3. So yeah, you want to put this on a fire Pokemon to do that? I mean, why not have Charcoal? When you spam Overheat all the time too, it's like it doesn't have perfect accuracy. So your main move is, you're gonna want it to be Flamethrower, and then Overheat is for the last resort, maybe. Like when you know you're gonna die, you don't care about this anyway. It's usually gonna be a fast Pokemon. So I put this in a D. Even on something like Moltres, I wouldn't have this on. So, yeah. Alright, I think the Red Herb is the one that lets you instantly power up a move like Solar Beam or Sky Attack, something like that. I could be wrong. But anyway, non-factors, it wouldn't be that good anyway. Okay, then what else do we got? I think the rest of the crap here. Soldew you can't use, is banned. This is the Choice Scarf, not the Silk Scarf. That's not around either. I mean, if I check, I'm pretty sure I've covered everything. The other stuff is just irrelevant or not in Gen 3. Yeah, I think we're finished. So yeah, shorter tier list like I've said, but this is what it looks like. These ones here, they represent all of these stat boosting items. Don't get confused. This is a Soft Sand. This is the Poison Barb. This is a Hard Stone. Anything that's gonna revolve around your stab. A good stab move that you're gonna spam over and over, like Earthquake or Surf. You know, that's why these items are good. Magnet for your Thunderbolt. You know, good stab move. Something like Hard Stone, you're probably not gonna spam Rock Slide all day. So yeah, maybe those ones don't go to B. But it depends on the moves. It depends on your Pokemon. So yeah, best one is Leftovers. Choice Band could be good. Lumberry is excellent as well. Quick Claw, I'll put it as one of the better ones too. And yes, this is the Gen 3 Battle Frontier tier list and the items you should consider on the types of Pokemon I mentioned. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I want to do more of these tier list videos because they can be fun, and I know a lot of my viewers like them. I get very solid views when I do them in terms of my total subscriber count. But I'm running out of ideas. I mean, I can't be doing this, I can't be making the same videos over and over. And I've ranked most of the stuff. I mean, I've ranked Pokemon, I've ranked items right now. I even did like a top 10 Frontier Brains video. I don't think many people know that. A while ago. I have a few more ideas, but I'm not sure if they're good. I suppose we'll see. Maybe I'll start delving into Gen 4 Frontier videos. But we'll see. Nevertheless, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, share this video with your friends, and I'll see you guys next time. What-ay?